Hey guys, and today I think about doing a little bit of a special video today. And now this video will technically be at the end of my Crysis Remastered Let's Play playlist. So basically what I thought about doing is a little bit of a discussion video regarding the events what happened in Crysis 1. Now, the thing that I wanted to talk about was thinking about this for a while. So, I had plans for it after I finished with my Let's Play, and I wasn't sure what to exactly think, but I think there is a good I think the best topic I want to talk about is the location of the game. Of course, as we know as the Lingshan Islands. So that's what we'll discuss about for this video. So we'll talk about first of all, what is the Lingshan Islands? So basically, the Lingshan Islands is a island, which is obviously the main location for the game. It is supposed to be sit on the coast of the Philippines. So I'll bring up a little Google Maps, just showing where that could be exactly. So basically, think of it as between the Philippines and Taiwan. So basically, that's just imagine the island in that exact location. So basically, the story of the Lingshan is that basically several million years ago, there was a sort of a spaceship that crashed onto the Lingshan Islands, which contained the aliens that we saw in the game. Which they're, by the way, called the Ceph, by the way, which I'll bring up how they're spelled. So basically, millions of years ago, that ship crashed, and it was left buried underneath, like some rock, which of course, like decayed away or crumbled down, as we saw in the game. And so basically, it kind of left the Seth that were in there dormant for all the millions of years until around what was it, August 2020. So basically, this game takes place almost 3 years ago. And basically, a group of IAS researchers were investigating the island. And then, at the same time, that island, well, the Lingshan Islands was taken over by the North Korean army. And now, North Korea. So now, don't think of North Korea in Crysis as basically the same, the weak country as we know it. Basically, they're not actually. But I mean, sure, some of the key elements of North Korea is retained in Crysis, being they're sort of an enemy of the USA and have nukes, but in Crysis, they're actually way stronger than compared to real life. So basically, there's a radio in the game that discusses how North Korea was able to basically advance ever since the death of Kim Jong-il, the second leader of North Korea. So basically, it discusses about how North Korea sort of evolved, able to sort of make revisions, and even to the point where in the game we'd see them use their own versions of the nanosuit. So basically, I'll play a video discussing this.
First, a recap. The North Korean military has been evacuating thousands of civilians from their homes on the island nation. Sea. Why? Kim Jong-chul, dynastic ruler of North Korea, claims it is a humanitarian mission. Tremors have been felt as far away as Hawaii. North Korea claims a volcanic eruption threatens the island's population. U.S. scientists say there has been no volcanic activity on the islands in recorded history. Secretary of State Douglas Bornheim says the North Korean actions are nothing short of an invasion. So what is the real story? Dr. Joseph Harford, chair of the Commission on Far East Relations, is with us tonight. First, Joe, what exactly is Kim Jong-chul planning?
Well, Alex, there's no doubt this has been building up for some time. Kim Jong-chul has been looking to extend North Korean influence in the Pacific, and they have focused on a group of de facto independent nations, which they perceive as susceptible to North Korean influence. As you will remember, these islands were in the news 4 years ago, when the North Koreans supported the Marxist RFIP's independence movement. Tensions skyrocketed when the post-revolutionary government, backed by Kim Jong-chul, set about nationalizing billions of dollars of American corporate assets.
And what kind of threat do the North Koreans pose?
North Korea is no longer the poor man of Asia, Alex. 2008 represented a sea change in North Korean aspirations. On succeeding his father, Kim Jong-chul immediately initiated Xiaoping-style economic reforms, turning North Korean metropolises into virtually independent ultra-free market city-states. Pyongyang now has the second highest techno-dollar turnover on the planet. This has allowed the North Korean regime to buy in the latest Chinese military technology. And let's not forget, North Korean words are backed by nuclear weapons.
So basically, a little recap was that after the death of Kim Jong Il, instead of Kim Jong Un, it was Kim Jong Chul who became the next leader of North Korea in 2011. And as soon as he took over, he then underwent sort of like revisions for North Korea. So basically, in a way, like Deng Xiaoping. And so basically, this allowed the North Korean economy to increase by a wide margin, more so than any other country could have in the past like 10 years or so. And so they were able to use better military tech, which would mostly be from China. And they're able to, in a way, kind of make their own nanosuits, as we saw in the game. And so, with all that kind of tech, they were able to take over the Lingshan Islands and kick all the civilians outside, which they assume or claim to protect the civilians from sort of volcano. And so now we come to August 14th, 2020. And so basically at the time, and that's where a Raptor team was dispatched to Lingshan Island to rescue the IIS members, if they were alive, that is. So yeah, the Raptor team arrived at Lingshan and were of course greeted by the North Korean soldiers who just so happened to be there. And so Raptor team ended up fighting the way through, of course, mostly being Nomad and Psycho, with of course Prophet being there only to get taken away by a Ceph alien. So it's why he's absent until around Paradise Lost. And so Nomad ended up getting to the rock that was sort of crumbling away from that Ceph spaceship, and eventually confronted the leader of the North Korean group in Lingshan Islands, so as we know as General Kyon, aka Keen Tiger. And so basically Nomad fought and killed General Kyon, and so this led to the only way exiting was to get to the or get inside the Ceph ship, while the hostages they rescued would get out of the island. So one of them being Elena Rosenthal. And then as Nomad actually eventually got out of that spaceship, the Ceph essentially followed Nomad out. So then an energy sphere was released, and so why basically the what was near the ship was all frozen over. And so Nomad eventually tried to escape, along with also running into Prophet, who just so happened to be alive. And so they both got out of the energy sphere and attempted to evacuate the island. And then also what happened was that a nuke was also launched on the Lingshan Island to hopefully, in a way, sort of contain the invasion. Although this ended up failing and thus only made the energy sphere stronger. And then meanwhile, Prophet ended up returning to the island, which also seemed to set the story for the Crysis comics, which we'll get to later. And then, of course, more Cephians were on the ship that Nomad, Psycho, and Elena were also on. And, of course, Nomad fought them all and also took down a warship with the tac cannon, which being like Crysis' version of the BFG from Doom, if you know what I'm talking about. However, the story of Lingshan Islands still continued. And so now we have to approach the Crysis comics. And so basically, in there, we get some more idea of Prophet having history of talking with other characters that are important later in the Crysis story. So one of them being a man named Jacob Hargreave. And so basically, and then at the end of Crysis 1, basically, Nomad told Psycho to take the VTOL back to Lingshan to go rescue Prophet, who was still on the island and yet still alive. And so the remaining Raptor team members, along with Elena Rosenthal, continued fighting on the Lingshan Islands to, remove the Ceph even further. And basically, this whole, and at the same time, Prophet also mentioned Nomad about flashbacks with Colombia about the war on drugs. And I won't go too detailed, but I mean, if you read the comics, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Which basically a little recap there was that basically what happened is that Prophet ended up attacking a superior. It's basically similar to that of Doom Guy when he was forced to fire upon a bunch of civilians. And so yeah, they continued fighting when suddenly they were faced with a sort of boat that they were intending to rendezvous near to. Then the people on the boat opened fire and attacked the Raptor team members, and at the same time they ended up actually killing Elena Rosenthal. And then eventually, at the end of the comic series, there were two CIA members that attempted to shoot a rocket at Psycho and Prophet, but then basically, then what happened is Nomad ended up running toward the rocket to protect Prophet and Psycho, and unfortunately, he sacrificed himself in the process. And it is most likely that Prophet and Psycho, being the only two left, ended up just pulling out of the island completely and essentially leaving Nomad behind since they assumed him to be dead. And with the Crysis comics concluding, this officially marks the end of the story of Lingshan Islands. For right now, that is. But, of course, it would play some minor roles in Crysis 2 and 3, but we haven't gotten it quite yet, so it's best that we not mention it. But yeah, that's the discussion video regarding the Lingshan Islands. If you found this video informative, be sure to give the video a like, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new, and ring the bell for more videos, and yeah, that's just about it. See ya.